I was approached by the team behind the PC fantasy tactical RPG called Sword of Convallaria to play the game for a video right on time for the new collab the game is doing with The Witcher 3. You can play the game on Steam and mobile devices, and the game is trying to emulate the feel of a classic JRPG like Fire Emblem or the more recent game, Octopath Traveler, and uses a pixel graphic aesthetic to give a nostalgic feeling while also feeling like a game made in the 21st century at the same time. Developed and published by XD Entertainment, Sword of Convallaria will give fans of these kinds of games hours of content to explore, characters to unlock, and story to experience. Right after picking your character, you're thrust into the story, where your character, who you get to name yourself, is thrown in jail in the middle of some kind of a revolt, but you escape and start to battle with your party members and get a taste of the battle system pretty early on. The game injecting some high stakes in that the person who busts you out of jail and clearly seems super powerful gets killed in a few minutes from the escape. But the plot actually goes like this. In an ancient continent called Rodinia, there's a small but wealthy country called Iria that's known for the mineral Luxite, which is infused with magical powers. It turns out that other nations want Luxite, and that has caused power struggles and other tensions between factions, which sets the stage for the opening of the game, the riot in Wave-Run City, where your player character wants to try and fix the world and must do it in one level at a time. We're returning to this hub with a talking cat in between called Elysium. There's a lot of story in this game, but one thing the devs did that benefits the pacing is that you can click the text boxes to read ahead instead of listening to the full line of voiceover, and you can also make the cutscenes move at double speed if you're someone who has limited amount of time and just wants to stick to the action. What was interesting about the action was that it, as promised, is a tactical RPG, so the reward for completing battles is experience for the characters you used and loot drops you can equip on whichever character you like, which is normal and to be expected. How the combat works is thus. You get a bunch of different character types to deploy on the field and use when it's your turn. You decide where the characters are placed on a grid and then what attacks they do. For example, the player character uses distance-based magic attacks, but then another character you recruit early on uses a sword and shield, so you need to be near the enemies for them to do damage. Same for the guy you can deploy who uses 2 daggers to attack. There's a reason to use different character types because certain player types respond better to different enemy types, and you're going to want some distance characters so you can destroy things like explosive barrels that do an AoE attack without damaging yourself. But you're also going to want to have characters that can get up close so you can knock enemies off ledges for instant kills or do multiple hits like the dagger guy. And I think the best way to exemplify this would be by looking at this early boss fight, where there's a big enemy with lots of health, but I push it back into the fire so it takes continuous fire damage while my other characters hurt the various enemies around me by climbing on boxes and other things that I did by placing them in specific locations. Take a look.
怒ったよ。次は私の番。
Like I said, you get a lot of different options, like a knight with a lance or a wizard with magic attacks, so there's a reason to mix and match and see what things you tend to prefer and work best with. Progression is also pretty simple to get down with. There are multiple areas in the game, and those areas have a bunch of levels inside of them. It works like this. When you pick a level, you'll get dialogue and see the story progress, but the level only consists of one battle with a bunch of enemies or a boss, and then you win, collect your rewards, and move on to the next one till you clear the entire world and progress the story along. Along the way, you'll experience a story with over 120 hours of storytelling with branching paths, and even multiple endings. In it, you get a variety of good-looking pixel graphics, with some cool lighting effects and particle effects as well. And between areas and levels, you can visit this library-looking place to investigate different things by controlling the character around the room. And that's how you access extra hidden content. As I stated before, the game is currently running a collaboration with The Witcher 3, one of the biggest open-world fantasy games of the last decade. The Witcher 3 came out in 2015 and was released to immense critical acclaim and financial success. It won Game of the Year in 2015 from numerous outlets. I'm sure it needs no introduction, but I figured I'd give one, just in case. You play as a monster hunter named Geralt in an open world battling various foes. For the new collaboration with SOC, the characters from The Witcher 3 like Geralt, Yennefer, Ciri, and Triss are in Sword of Convallaria with their unique gimmicks to make them feel at home in this game's world, and also drawn with this game's art style, and it looks pretty cool. The basic rundown is that during the festival, Geralt and Yennefer try to use an old elven portal, but it accidentally sends them to Iria, where they meet a voyager who's helping a village under attack by monsters, and they team up, setting the stage for the Witcher 3 collab campaign, where a great effort was placed in making the two games feel synergistic. The characters are very on-model to how they looked in the original work, but adapted to the anime style of Sword of Convallaria really well, with sick art accompanying each character. All the characters you use getting movesets that incorporate how they were in-game, adapted to this game's combat system to make sure it felt accurate to the original source material. They even have the English voices too. If you want to try it though, you'd best act fast because it expires on January 22nd, 2026, so download the game and give it a whirl. Like I said, you can get it on Steam and mobile devices. But that's just about covers it for this video, which will be my final upload for 2025. It's been an interesting year for content on the show. Some new ideas and gimmicks worked and others didn't, but it was a fun time had by all, I hope. As per usual, I'm going to take a 1-month-long holiday break where I'll not be making new stuff, but there will be videos in January where old content will be back and slightly touched up and improved, so I hope people look forward to that before we get into all kinds of cool, highly requested stuff like the Mega Man Legends retrospective that's been several years overdue at this point. And perhaps I'll do more Tomb Raider, or perhaps I'll do more Castlevania and start new things like, say, Tomb Raider, or revisit old favorites like Sonic or Sly Cooper. But that's neither here nor there. Thanks again to the folks behind this game for sponsoring the video. The proper links will be in the description, but I'll close it by saying what I always do. If you made it this far in the video, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.